Several days passed, and during this time, Tilaris's presence brought magical changes to the palace. Flowers and trees became more vibrant, birds flew freely in the palace, singing, and everyone, from the palace staff to the king himself, seemed happier than ever. Yet, Aron was still scheming a way to escape this marriage. He even stopped his nightly parties, spending days and nights contemplating, until finally, a plan came to mind. He went to the king and Tilaris, and in the king's presence said to Tilaris, "I'm willing to marry you, but on one condition." The king was delighted to hear this. Aron continued, "I will go on a journey, and when I return, my horse must have foaled, and you must have borne me a child." The king shouted angrily, "What kind of absurd condition is this?" But Aron calmly replied, "Father, you chose this girl for me, but I must decide if she is worthy of being my wife or not," and then left the king and Tilaris. The king was disheartened and deep in thought, but Tilaris smiled and said to him, "Don't worry, I'll fulfill his condition." Aron embarked on a journey to a beautiful and magnificent land. He stayed in one of the grandest cities there, returning to his old indulgences. Meanwhile, Tilaris disguised herself in men's clothing, drank a potion to appear as a merchant, and went to the same inn where Aron was staying. One night, she entered a gambling game with him. The game's wager was that if Aron lost, he would forfeit his horse, and if the merchant lost, he would offer one of his maids to Aron. Aron confidently agreed. Aron won the first round, but in the second round, he lost and had to give his horse to the merchant. The merchant took the horse and returned to his room. Tilaris then put on a beautiful dress that enhanced her beauty even more. When Aron saw her, he was astonished, and after they spent time together, he said to her, "I wish you were my wife, not that elf girl." The maid smiled and bid him farewell. A few months later, Aron returned from his travels, confident that he had won the wager. But upon his return, he was greeted with a shocking sight. Tilaris stood beside the king with a visibly pregnant belly. Furious, Aron drew his sword to punish her for betrayal, but the king stopped him. Tilaris calmly recounted the entire story and showed him the pregnant horse. Aron looked at her in disbelief. Tilaris wore the same dress she had worn that night in the guise of the maid, and repeated his own words to him. "I wish you were my wife, not that elf girl." Aron smiled, proud of his father's choice, apologized to Tilaris, and finally married her. Their joyful and loving life began.